Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Phillip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3. It's time for a new episode here on City Alpha 3. Once again, I am stranded with my fellow strandies, Phillip and Daniel. Phillip, Daniel, have you escaped our previous episode? Ha! See what I did there? No.
I did download or upload or whatever the load term is my Amazon Echo with an escape room app. I'm sure that maybe there's more than one. So that was very interesting. Of course, it's almost like this is the best way to describe it. I'm sure it's a horrible way to describe it, but I think of it as almost like a text adventure. But of course, it's audio. But it's sort of like look left, look right, up, down. There's a thing. Investigate the thing.
So that's like, was that Zorg or something?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's basically, that's their escape room, and so they have like a bunch of options, and so I did get frustrated quickly. I don't know, but then I was like, walk through, and
that does not feel. I would imagine that would be terribly frustrating or limiting. Like the whole idea is
not even text that you can reference, like audio.
You have to. That's the thing. You have to constantly reference. Like if you're in the room, of course you can see everything, and then you get to play with the thing. So is this a reference to that or what? If you're like limited in how you can interact with the environment, it's gonna hamper your experience. So don't take that as indicative of how an actual room would go.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm judging all actual escape rooms on this audio escape room. So what about you, Daniel? Did you re-escape from last week, or did you find your way onto Zach's ship somehow?
I had to use a couple hints,
orbit.
So I got out, but it was shameful. It was very shameful.
Aww.
So they sent him back in.
Well, it is.
So that's why I'm still here. Yeah.
I didn't realize that part of escape rooms. If you don't escape, you have to go back and restart.
Yeah. You better get in the top 3, or else you're doomed to repeat it.
Oh, man. It's kind of having a Hunger Games kind of feel. I'm not so sure about that.
If you don't escape Hunger Games, there's a different way it ends.
Shh, don't tell poor innocent Darren what happens.
Oh, they all get to go back home, right?
Do you like being a wolf or some kind of snarling creature? Because in the first one, anyway.
Well, we're not talking about escape rooms again this week. No, we're talking.
Are we doing Star Trek Hunger Games about who would survive given a cast of 12?
Oh boy!
Just put it on the list, Phillip.
Okay.
Put it on the list for. But no, I wanted to talk about what I call movie episodes, and these are episodes of Star Trek that have previously aired, because that's everything that we would like to see those stories retold on the big screen. These are stories that we felt were so big or so powerful in Star Trek that if a movie poster showed up one day or a trailer started when you were going to watch something else and it said, coming soon, Star Trek, the insert series, now a major motion picture. So these might all be 2-parter episodes. Who knows? Because I feel like that's the way my list is kind of leaning. But I wanted us to just delve into these cinematic type of episodes, or ones that we feel would be good on the big screen, and then we can, Siskel and Ebert them to death. Because
Cisco?
I was in, Sisco and Ebert, Cisco and Esri. There we go. I needed an E sounding name. But I was inspired by Char Justin's rewrite of Generations. And I'm like, oh, well, we could just, if we're just changing up, Star Trek movies, let's just put another one on the list. So.
Now you have me like, welcome to At the Movies here on the balcony with Cisco and Esri. And she's like, no, it was really good. It's real! It's real!
No, it's just a movie, sir. It's just a movie. It's not.
No, what it makes me think of is what if they were like Muppets, like, and I'm gonna get these names wrong, but
Waldorf and Statler.
Statler, and they tell terrible puns. Oh, that would be really funny. But
that's what Morn actually sounds like. It's just unfortunately all off the screen.
I can see that. I can see that.
He just won't be quiet. I mean, that's what Quark says. He just won't shut up. So, well, I can start with the first one on my list, as I don't know if either of you have prepared, but I do know you have a expansive Star Trek knowledge up here. So, to no surprise to anyone, my first episode that I would like to see a movie, as I felt it really could have been a movie.
Don't be with the one with Frasier.
No.
No, that'd be
TNG episode 7, season 7, episode 4 and 5, Gambit. We all know, I've said several times that this is one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek and of Next Generation. It's the one where it opens up with, is Picard dead? We're searching for him. And it's a two-parter. There's a lot going on, and it does take it has a weaker third act, which movies often do. But
what CGI alien would there be in Act 3?
Oh, well, you'd need a CGI alien, of course, because it can't just be peace in our time. That's not a good ending. No, we'll just substitute in like the Siege of AR-47, at the end. Like, that's all we need. No. But no, I think that Gambit would be a really interesting movie. I think it has a good plot.
The script keeps getting canceled, and I don't know if they have what Marvel's. Oh, I'm sorry, you were.
Oh yeah, Channing Tatum is still signed on to do Gambit, but
no, not Marvel's Gambit. That was not intentional, folks. Just quick pick up by my co-host. But what do you guys think? Would you want to see that on the screen, or is it?
Now, can I?
We've already seen 2 episodes.
Can I guess, Darren, why? I'm going to posit this theory here that Darren exclusively. Now, we did just get a scene like this in Discovery, but Darren wants to see a big screen. Actually, we already have a scene like this too. But Darren wants to see a big screen, the Next Generation version of the Cantina scene. And that's what he wants in Gambit. So
yes, I can see it now with the Klingon opera.
I'm thinking that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I do like the interesting premise for a Star Trek movie experience, because you get your main characters, quote unquote, which I know is supposed to be Data and Picard, but for this argument's sake, is Picard and Riker out on their own story. And then you get our familiar characters on the Enterprise. So Data's in command, yay. And so they're still doing the Star Trek thing, but they're sort of in kind of different roles, with Data and Worf, but they're still doing their thing. And then you have Picard, Riker being action people.
Right. It's, and you're intercutting as the Enterprise, which doesn't have all the pieces of the puzzle, is, no pun intended, is trying to move towards getting Riker back, getting Picard back, but then Picard and Riker have more understanding of what's really going on, but they're, the lack of communication between the two parties, drives each of those stories forward.
Picard is dead. Riker kidnapped. Can this generation save itself? Coming soon.
Data.
Star Trek Gambit.
It's got to be 3. It's like Picard is dead, Riker kidnapped, and Data in the center chair.
And then you have the record scratch.
Oh gosh!
And Data says,
"Okay,
I'm guessing
Phillip,
you're wondering how I got here."
I guess you are wondering how I got here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yes, of course. Consonants. Or not consonants. Non-contractions. What were you thinking, Daniel?
I was just wondering, would you structure it in the same way? Like, would you want to pretend, presumably, like? You make your audience think that Picard was really dead, or would you structure it like you just have an opening scene, with the 2 different areas, and you can establish that you can follow Picard's story along earlier on, you know what I'm saying? Or do you want to give this impression out that maybe he's gone?
Because in the episode, for people who don't remember, it's actually an unseen scene. Say that 3 times fast. That Picard's dead. Because I think the scene starts with them investigating. It's not like you see Picard disappear. No, you don't see that.
And we're like, what's going on? Yeah, we don't see any of that.
So would you show that in the movie? Like, have the first scene and then boom, Picard's dead. I don't know.
I think you could do that. I mean, I'm under no pretense that with the age of the internet and trailers and whatnot, like, people would realize that they're not going to believe the audience is never going to believe that Picard is dead for a moment, but it's okay that the crew believes that. That's a major driving force of the first act.
So I can see, though, as most movies do nowadays, which is fun, is that would you have like the opening scene maybe with some like special guest big name voiceover with like establishing the backstory of the archaeology of the puzzle of the like in the dark times on
maybe, or then maybe you could have maybe you could start off with Picard. Maybe Picard's giving a lecture or something, and that's when he gets gunned down. He's actually explaining the background of their group, and then he gets killed, and then everyone's like, "What?" So you get both best of both worlds.
Exposition and death. I like how you said "gun down" because then I picture him like, "And next slide, please."
Hey, just like where else did he get the idea for the holodeck several years later? I remember that one time on Narendra 3, I was gunned down by a angry archaeological guild. They weren't happy with what I was. It was riveting stuff, number one. Don't fall asleep.
Those guys really know how to party, the archaeology guild.
All right, well, that's my first list. I'm sensing it's not getting double thumbs up, but that's okay.
Well, no, I do like it. Like I said, because of the premise that you have the main characters away and the other characters doing that, because then you have your character moments. And again, it's going to be more cinematic, of course. And then the puzzle story, which again, I haven't seen it recently, but I vaguely remember it, with the Vulcan, or the Vulcan who's not a Vulcan Romulan. But anyway, that can be more
Spoilers.
epic. Yeah, it can be more epic in scope, though.
It's been 30 years, Daniel. 30 years.
They can be a little more epic in scope. The more you show, and then there's a lot more firefights, that do happen in that episode, but you could, of course, expand it, make it a little bit more thrilling.
Right. Your CGI budget's higher, your alien budget's higher. I mean, everything looks more bigger and cinematic, but I feel just at its core, it was a pretty decent story that could lend itself to the big screen.
Is
Phillip,
Riker compromising himself? Like, how much are you going to believe? You can expand the story, murky it up a little bit more. Like, how much is Riker willing to do? Like, does he have to, like, kill someone in order to convince him that he's still, or does he betray his identity? There's lots of stuff you can do.
That's true. It's, it's not Star Trek unless someone's killing someone, right?
Well, it's not a Star Trek movie, unless.
So, Daniel, what's your first episode that you like so much you want to pay $12.50 just to go see and watch it? I mean, not even a whole season, not like a monthly subscription thing. No, like just one go.
Which one's more expensive? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So let me tell you my process. When I went through this, thinking about this. So first, of course, I jumped to TNG naturally. And,
we know it the best.
She's either going to be barking in the background, or I'll just wait till she's done. What is your preference?
Wait a second.
Is she just trying to get out?
Nah, she sees somebody outside.
We can wait a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can wait.
I have to look up an episode title anyway.
I like your Doctor Who shirt.
Yes. I really do not have that many.
I mean, I guess if you can't represent the show, you could at least represent.
I do not
the
have
network,
that many Star Trek shirts. I gotta be honest.
I don't either. I have like 1 billion Star Wars shirts and like 2 Star Trek shirts.
Barks.
He's just answering you. She can answer you. I can shift to Phillip if he's ready.
I am. I'm just...
Go ahead.
All right. So, Phillip, what episode of Star Trek would you put on the silver screen?
This is going to be somewhat controversial, and it requires an entire rewriting of the script. But I like the premise. And I know, and you've mentioned Punch It here on the network with Shar and Tristan. I believe they've tackled this. I can't remember if they've tackled it on Punch It or in their previous podcast incarnations. But Star Trek Voyager, and we're scrapping the title, but the existing title is Fury. But the premise is Kes returns. Because again, what's the epic story? The epic story is that you have your later season Star Trek Voyager cast, but then you have the return of Kes, who's my favorite. But anyway, And so that way you got all the players on the board. You know, you get the Kess 7 interaction, of course, that we never got. But, and so, again, you know, I don't know anyone who's a fan of Fury. But the premise is there that you have this sort of Kess who we've seen becoming this, you know, Wesley energy being. Or Wesley became the Kess energy being. It's all complicated. But anyway, you know, the premise of the story is there because you can still have the angry Kess. I don't think, you know, you're going to have to play with why she's angry. But, you know, what sort of thing, because she's almost could be the villain, but I don't want her to be the villain, but you know, the innocent villain, you know, that's causing chaos and the what is she doing? You know, it could have almost be, I'm thinking of, you know, all these nebulas or whatever, all these explosions. It's not killing anyone, but just all these weird things are happening. And the first act is finally finding out who it is, and then finally, oh, it's Kess because she doesn't know how to control her powers or whatever. And I'm trying to think, you'd have to have like an actual villain too, because that story isn't enough in and of itself. You know, I hate to do the Borg, even though it's Voyager, but something else. You know, it being a movie, it'd be guest star playing random alien we've never heard of. You know, trying to harness her power or whatever, and maybe that's what she's fleeing because she's trying to do all this stuff. But anyway, by and large, the story of Kess returning, the Star Trek Voyager crew having to reunite with her, but trying to control her powers, and then ultimately, of course, she is going to have to leave and move on, but at least sort of getting that closure that perhaps... I'm not saying she didn't get closure when she left the first time, but even more so, and you get all the gang together for one last ride there in the movieverse. So what you could do is pretend Fury never happened, and you could set this after they returned home. There's nothing that says this has to be in the Delta Quadrant. But anyway.
I was going to say, just if you wanted to do that, like she's super powerful and like she's causing all this sort of damage she can't control, and then the resolution could be Endgame. Essentially, she brings them home. She's instead you could replace Endgame with
kill two bad episodes with one movie.
Exactly.
Oh man!
And then you would complete Voyager's journey on the big screen, which would actually be pretty fitting.
I like that, because that was always the Garrett Wong idea, to have Endgame be a movie, and of course not be Endgame, but to have that, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, not a bad idea. Yeah, I think that's another good way to look at it, as what's an episode that is not just a good episode, but like I'd forgotten, or I wasn't even thinking of the fact that, you know, some of these other series obviously didn't have movies, so
or HD.
What's something that could? Daniel, what episode do you feel is good in IMAX? Wow. Not even HD, but like 70 millimeter.
This is a Mike Schindler question.
So I'm gonna save. Yeah, right. I'm gonna save my best idea for later. But
teasing the tease.
But
I'm gonna put all my best ideas up front and slowly diminish into nothing. So,
but like you, Darren, my first thought was TNG. So I thought, okay, what TNG episode would make a good movie? And I thought, I love Who Watches the Watchers, and then I remembered Insurrection. So no, terrible idea.
Which is basically Who Watches the Watchers.
Then I thought, Yesterday's Enterprise.
Yeah,
that'd make a great movie. Then I thought, we just got a whole season of Yesterday's Enterprise.
Daniel, wash Discovery. Your mouth out. That is.
I'm saying this dark universe where we're at war with the Klingons and everything's, and the war is going bad. Very bad.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, we've got enough of that. We're
2 for 2.
We're good there. So I thought, like you, I picked a two-parter, Darren, and I went with Unification, which I thought would be super cool for a movie. You could have that undercover element, and then of course guest stars, Spock from the past. So that's a pretty big get. And it's a significant event as well. I'd play with it, of course. I would remove Yar entirely. Denise Crosby, sorry, you're not getting this chance for a cameo. But you could retool it in such a way, and really you could make it this super big event. And there's lots of interesting elements for action and suspense, and are they going to get in and make it to the Romulus and all this sort of stuff? And kind of a political thriller, really, you could even turn it into. A lot of opportunities, I think, for some fun.
I think it'd be interesting if you started it off with like maybe 15, 20 minutes getting to know a Romulan family. Like that becomes the counterpoint to, the fit, like, because we need to empathize with the Romulans. We need to understand that there's people on both sides that want the unification. But what are they willing to do to get that?
Spock's pupil, which I think they show a little bit, but an expanded character of Spock's either assistant,
right.
maybe not even pupil, his number one, his first officer, right? Because we've never got to see that dynamic, right? We always saw Kirk Spock, but we never saw Spock have his Spock. Have him be in command, for lack of a better word. I mean, we did, but we didn't. So that would be interesting to see.
Right.
And that'd be a Romulan he's teaching the ways,
And it'd be I like the idea though, because it's you also get you could really dive into Romulan. I was going to say Romulan society. Like we just don't know. We still don't know a lot about Romulan society and all of that.
Yeah, no, and that'd be a great way to do it. And hey, like we complain sometimes about the movies and some episodes. Like this would be, you could push this in either direction, but I would like to see it more towards a Star Trek-y, less action. This will be a less action-y type movie. This will be more of a, if you want, you can push the thriller aspect of it. Like, man, are they gonna, like, it's tough for them to sort of be on this planet, and there's a lot of tension there, but it doesn't have to be super Hollywooded up. It could just be this sort of smaller story, but with
you could have like the Romulan fleet, or the trying to break through the barrier. You could have a fight scene or two. It wouldn't be too long.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, there's in good Star Trek form, there's several cultures and societies on Earth that are split that have apparently irreconcilable differences, and I think yes, we're seeing it as a Star Trek science fiction story, but you could definitely relate it to real life.
Not to keep doing this, but I'm going to do it again.
Screen.
So the beginning scene, voiceover, celebrity actor, pick your choice, is. No,
they can't all have voiceover
to
celebrity actors
flashback
intros.
Establishing scene. The Romulan breakup, the when the Romulans left. You show.
Oh, that's a big
and so it's like in the times of Surona, and you show whatever it was, because I don't even know what. I mean, we never get a real explanation of, because was it before or after the Surik reforms?
I think it was the Surak thing, and I think basically it's the followers of Surak versus the non-followers of Surak, as I think is what the.
And then you sort of and you don't have to like do like a straight narrative. You can kind of do like scene. There was this guy, and then there was the leader. Like the Romulan leader.
And they found a history book.
Yeah, but like who's
Rome.
The name of who's like, I'm sure there's some great Romulan Vulcan, I suppose at that time.
The first Praetor.
And you can and they were never to meet again. And then you go like 300 years later, or 500 years later, 1,000 years later, whatever.
Yeah.
Now Daniel.
And it's like Vulcan and Romulus, and it's like a big old lightning bolt in between. It's like.
And so, Daniel, what Romulan ship would you have for this movie? Are we going to see the movie version of the Warbird? Are you going to get your more First Contact, or not First Contact? More Nemesis.
Can we see the vertical Warbird? The vertical.
Are you
going
for the Nemesis
in that concept art?
No, what I want to see is an actual 2-scale Warbird. I want to see like a fly.
You want to see?
You want to feel?
I don't know the physics,
size.
Of course, but the shadow looming over the Enterprise D, and then you zoom out.
Yeah. What I want you to, exactly. Whether you're on the bridge or just some person in a room, you have the zoom out, and you can see just the scale of this ginormous ship.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. That would be super fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
At some point, there would be a firefight. Again, it would be a huge scene where, like, I don't know which character you'd want to have this. Yes,
the Enterprise
yes.
gonna fly. Like,
you have
in
some
between.
character, whether it's Riker or Data, or Mitch is like, man, you could fly the Enterprise in that, and then Riker sort of looks at him and goes, "Khan,
make it so." But and the Khan's like, make what so? You didn't actually, like, that wasn't an order, sir.
And then he presses the button, and the joystick comes up, and he's like, "Don't worry, I got it."
Oh boy,
I'll do it myself.
We did get that scene though in Discovery, essentially, when they were blowing up the Empress
Charon
ship thing. Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah,
because they.
I want though. Is it for them to fly in, and then once they get in between, the Romulans are like, aha, spring the trap, and then like lasers like shoot up all around, and like all the perimeter like it lock them in, and they're like, it's like a Venus flytrap.
It's a twist. Here's a twist. As soon as they get in there, all the Q grid comes around the outside shell there.
Oh, geez.
So then do a saucer step, and anyway.
Yeah.
No. I mean, just alone for that shot, Daniel, I would be willing to Kickstarter fund this. All right. Well, my next one, I'm gonna jump to TOS, to a single episode. I think the Doomsday Machine could be a really interesting movie. You have the psychological aspect of the broken captain who had to watch his crew die. You have
the Commodore.
You have the Commodore. You have the. So imagine this. Now it's basically a little bit a la the motion picture where you have an unstoppable thing, but it's getting pretty much just like the movie. But it's heading. We're gonna see way more of it.
So
like,
in the first scene, it's a flashback to the constellation being destroyed. No. It's a voiceover.
I know
who's playing the Commodore. Who's playing the Commodore Decker?
We established
you gotta have someone who can match. Now, I don't know. Well, and I don't know where. Yeah, because let's not make it. So, like, I don't know in your vision, Darren, and it could be your dream vision. Like, when does this take place? Like, is this a '60s movie? Is this a TOS era movie, or are you talking JJ?
It's like a TOS. No,
so it's the
like
60s, and I know there's quality
probably.
You can talk about with 60s movies or 70s movies, but okay.
Okay, sorry, I meant
so
TOS
basically someone who can match,
so like 70s, 80s.
movie Bill Shatner, like Khan did. So like a character of that ilk and age who would be Commodore, so he has to be the same age or maybe even a little bit older. So. Like, you could have Chris Plummer out of makeup, but no, actually don't pick someone who's white. But anyway, I'm just saying an idea. You don't have to name someone, but that's who I'm thinking. Someone who could.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, so you have, the broken
like
Federation
Sidney Poitier
captain,
of that time.
And you have. Oh man, that'd be cool. He's still alive now, so. But then you also have the space battles of the. How do we stop this thing? I mean, it's unstoppable. It's got, triple times diamond density, hull, whatever they called it. And, it's heading towards Sector 001,
Yeah, that was my first thought,
the long,
too,
scenic route.
It would be cool, too, even if you could frame it. I mean, if it was made now, I think it would be easier to do it, but you could frame it as an episode about Decker, and all of our characters could just be secondary characters. Like, I mean, you could follow this could be his journey
to the
told through the told through the lens of the Enterprise crew, of what happens to him, why he snaps, all the crazy things he does, and then ultimately his sacrifice in order to save everyone. And you could follow that journey, and it's a cool story, and not cool. It's kind of a tragic story, but it's very interesting, and there'd be a lot of neat moments that you could have, a lot of things that people could learn from this man has some serious issues.
Well, and for your celebrity voiceover in the very beginning, Philip, you could have it be the aliens that launched it, that had their war a millennia ago. That it'd be
subtitled,
and you see them both wipe each other. Well, yeah, you see them wipe each other out, and there's one left, and then it just
Never
keeps
did they know
going.
that their weapons of war would still remain long after their war ended, and no one knew their name.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, we're gonna have a new soundtrack. That is iconic, though. But yes, no, I would love though that you'd be modernized. That though, I mean, it would still be there, but it'd be a modern one, and people would freak their mind out. Of classic.
That's my version
call
of
Michael.
modernizing. It's not
Gotcha,
really
I
working,
understand.
but yeah. Don't have me do that. All right, Philip, what's your
Well,
second
it's interesting
on the plate? You know, because this is how you got to go up against movie executives. You got to pitch like 8 things.
No, and you
they
don't.
Give you half
You
of
do.
one.
You do your
So-
best one at the end, like some people are doing. But you're like, that's all I got. Well, I do have one thing left, and then that's when you're like, yeah. All right. It's funny you mentioned. Yeah, it's funny that Darren, you mentioned TOS, and Daniel, you were getting to the Romulans, because that was going to be my entry, and that's the Enterprise incident.
Oh.
So this is with the because it is a somewhat dark storyline or darker storyline because the Federation is stealing a Romulan cloaking device, and
Right.
you know,
We're going to need a crew of 11 people to steal.
Enterprise 11.
Enterprise 11.
That's good. I like that.
Yes. On the casino
You know what?
world
You know
of
what?
whatever.
I was thinking dark and underground and sort of Star Trek 2 vibe, but Darren, you sold me. You sold me your pitch. It is Enterprise 11. Okay. And so, you know, I can see, you know, a flashback. No, I'm kidding. Okay. But it could be even though it is sort of a, you know, a sabotage or whatever you want to do, spy movie, but yes,
Trouble.
exactly. But I can see it where, you know,
I was just thinking that.
it could give that spin. It could be a comedy-esque thriller. Yeah.
Now let's be just
Bank job.
Let's just put this out there because Deep Space Nine did have an
Yeah.
Ocean's 11 episode. So we
Well,
have
but
seen this in
they
Star
were
Trek
to
before, but,
the theme. Like it was 1960s. This is going to be Star Trek.
I like
you
it.
know,
I like
future 23rd century, and you're going to the Romulans, and so yeah.
What is the most fortified place in the galaxy? Romulan, you know, high.
I'm trying to think.
Whatever.
It's the clone, not the clone, the cloaking, the cloaking.
Yeah, but I'm
manufacturing
trying to think
plant.
like who is the female version of Al Pacino to play the Romulan captain or commander, I suppose, as they talk. I mean, you know, like a Meryl, you know,
I like the idea.
Streep
That
or
would be
something as the Romulan commander, or you know, someone. I don't know who would be the good one
Yeah, that would work.
because she'd be Spock's
you know,
love
'cause
interest. Remember now.
That's true. It could be an older Spock. That's fine. Or
Yeah.
a younger.
Again,
Yeah,
of course, I
whatever. Who
anyway.
cares?
But anyway, there's lots of actresses, of course, you can do about this top.
That would be fun. It would be interesting too, and like just to turn it kind of.
It's basically
you know,
someone
like
who could
Star Trek 4.
overact in that
Exactly.
role as the Romulan commander. You know, you're going to be eating
yeah.
scenery with that one. You know, you're going to be the Chris Plummer, basically, except the Romulan female commander. So, yeah, I love that. Yeah.
That would be cool.
Because also a disappointing visual element was always like, oh, we're using the Klingon ships because of money. But, yeah, the Romulans are using Klingon ships. God, no. Screw that. I want to see Romulan ships with cloaking devices. And so... But yeah, I could because you're gonna have the same thing. You know, they have to go under disguise, and each of them could have a different disguise. So like they'll be like, all right, Kirk, you get in the ears, and like Scotty, and we'd have to actually count to 11.
So Kirk and Spock
2.
are Romulans.
Well, no, Spock is Spock. He already has the pointed ears, and remember because the premise of I'm not saying you have to stick to the script, but the premise is that Kirk goes crazy, and Spock's the one who's like, oh no, he was acting against orders. I'm here to talk to you as the calm one. But and so it's I believe now I feel like
to get him across the
to call them
border.
up with the ridiculous names like they do in Ocean's 11. It's like, oh yeah, that's the Kobayashi Maru. Are you sure you're not thinking of the Jim Kirk
or the Benny Two Shoes? No,
it's
the Molly Berry
it's the
Brown.
Warp 10 Robert April.
Yeah, oh gosh.
I just want to see this actually maybe even kind of. I'm sure this has been done before, but I would love to see like that trailer, like the quick cut, like introduces every character. Yeah, exactly. Where you steal the cloaking device, and it's just like the
Scotty
tech and the brains.
It's like the tech guy, and like Scotty's like drunk with like
Vulcan.
3 things of brandy, and the Wunder Kid, and like Chekhov's doing talking about Russia, and then like,
oh man, that would be super fun. Just literally go crazy and have fun with it like Star Trek 4. And you're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be fun. I mean, you're changing the tone of the original story, obviously, but
just a little bit, just a little
and
bit.
also like how you can really
it's
introduce some characters. So I'm counting right now. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are going to be your standards. So for the remaining 4, you could be like Kyle. He could be like the moron, the 2 moron twins.
Or we could just have it be 7.
No. Because we did Galileo 7 already. But like the people we see kind of at the side, so you have your Kyle, you could have
Sarah
Imres
shows up.
Oh yeah, we're doing this.
Sarah
Imres, we're doing Eric's.
Aries.
Yes, we're doing this, folks.
Jeez. Man, you just tripled the budget with those 2 costumes alone, but we'll handle it. Oh, that's good. Okay, I like how we're having a different groupings of tone and themes with our Star Trek movies. All right, Daniel, maybe it's your best, maybe it's your second best. What is your next choice?
Oh, no. I mean, this is the only Star Trek movie that needs to be made. Okay. Period. And
it's all the time we have, guys. So,
Star Trek has a lot of framing devices that we could use, and plenty have been reused. So I'm going to give an example of the best kind of concept that I have, but you could, of course, rewrite it, reframe it. You could say Q did it, and I mean, you could literally say that about anything that we propose. Q did it, and then there's your story. What I'm saying is that we get an expanded, and there's very few science fiction properties that have this capability. Doctor Who and Star Trek is it. So, and I want to double down on this. So we're going to do, oh God, now I'm going to forget the name of the episode. What is the name of the episode from Deep Space Nine where
Trials and Tribulations?
Trouble and Tribulations.
Trials and Tribulations.
Yeah.
We are doing super ultra Star Trek Trials and Tribulations. We're doing a chase through time of Star Trek. So we're going to jump to every single Star Trek that we know. We're going to go TOS. We're going to do TNG. We're going to go to Enterprise, even Discovery if you want. You are going to be able to, you have the budget to do whatever you want. You're going to be able to go, you're going to craft a story where you're following somebody through these things, and we get to meet all these characters that we've seen throughout all of Star Trek. And I if you're going to be able to do anything that you want, that's what I want. I want to see a ginormous crossover of everything that we've ever seen. I know it's difficult to do, I'm sure. Really challenging to write, but I'm not a writer, so I don't have to worry about that. Somebody else will write this movie. I just want to watch it, and I will pay $8 trillion for it. Please take my money. Let's just race through time and see all of the Star Trek stuff we did.
So kind of like they did in the TNG finale, where they're jumping through different time periods and you have different people.
Yes,
but but not just one series. You want to see the crossover. You want the Avengers of Star Trek.
Yep. And maybe you pick up crew members along the way. Like maybe your first stop is TOS, and then we need Spock to help us. So Spock comes with us. Now he's part of this crew, and just for this adventure or whatever, we'll drop you off because we have whatever time mulligan that we have. Mm-hmm. Like in that episode, it was the time orb, but it could be Q, it could be whatever. You would have some sort of construct where it's basically you're following somebody through time that's trying to do something bad, and you have to stop them, and you have to use the people that you encounter along the way as a resource.
You could have the time ship relativity, and they're jumping through time.
Exactly.
And it's time travel.
All right, flashback, guest actor playing the relativity captain.
You could frame this as a
time crisis.
What are they called? The time people?
Department of Temporal Investigations.
You could frame that as this episode, and like
I'm watching the credits now as they walk into with their briefcases. You sort of do the different perspectives of doors opening, and then open the briefcase.
Yeah.
No, and it says and it says his name, and then it says favorite time mid 20th century. Like they all have their own favorite. Like Disneyland is what their favorite.
Except that they're putting down pads of sort of and you sort of see profiles of Captain Janeway, Temporal Menace #4, and then Captain James T. Kirk, 85 excursions.
So not only are we going through time,
usual
suspects,
picking
up people along
Temporal
the way,
usual suspects,
but we also go back into like our own past, because why not? And so it's not only just the times of Star Trek, but it's the times of the 60s or Revolutionary War or whatever we want.
You could, it would make it. I mean, we're already doing 5 jumps or 6 jumps, depending on how you count.
Well, you have
that would be tough.
But you could have Cisco. I'm not saying it has to be the captains, but you could have the Voyager, TNG, and DS9 person all come from the same spot.
Well, but you could have.
That's true.
I mean, there's only be 3 then. So so you have. I'm doing these arbitrarily. TNG goes to Enterprise era. DS9 goes to TOS. Voyager goes to Discovery.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine with me. As long as you get them all in there, that's all I care about. Yeah, it doesn't matter how we do it. I just love to see it because we have this technology. Of course, like it worked so well in Troubles and Tribulations.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to be depending on how you'd have to be really clever in order to fit all this
Klingons
seamlessly, like they didn't.
Because I'm trying to think what every series had in common. So you're going back to the Klingon War of Discovery era, and then there's a Klingon thing in TOS, obviously, and then Klingons in Enterprise with either the first time or whatever. But
that might be a fun topic for a future episode. Is what episode would you like to do the Trials and Tribulations effect to? So pick a crew from a different series, and now the trick is they have to go back in time. And so, like you said, Voyager could go back to Enterprise, and like DS9.
Well, I mean, there's actually nothing stopping Discovery from doing that except in the future.
True.
We could frame it that way. We could just say, if Discovery were to time jump into an episode, 200 years.
It's only going to affect
future,
canon, no more than it has already.
Exactly. Why not? But if they gave it that, if the people behind the scenes gave it that same care and attention they did to Troubles and Tribulations, I would be okay with seeing them show up on the Enterprise D bridge or something like that.
Which
that
would be huge.
Fun. What the heck?
Huge, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that would be cool. Why not? Like, let's just see it. And if they mess it up, then well, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. So I'll just trust in the writers that they'll get it right.
Right.
No, I would be interested in seeing that, at least in seeing the attempt, because look what we got last time, and that was awesome. So,
all right. So in my last round, I went with a Voyager episode, again a 2-parter. Season 3, episode 8 and 9, Future's End. But we're not going back to 1996. We're going back to 2018 or 2020 or something, some round number. So I basically want to remake that. Yeah, the current, present day. Where all the kids love present day.
What's selling now? Now? All right.
So, yeah, I think that would be fun to see. Our Star Trek crews come back to now and just, I mean, it's such a time capsule episode. I mean, who doesn't want, but I guess, would you get super meta and have them like go to a comic convention?
Well, then turning into Galaxy Quest.
You're getting a little too Galaxy Quest. Yeah,
I was gonna say we already saw Galaxy
Quest.
It's
true.
So. The problem is we're getting really close to
Star Trek
Bell
time.
Riots at this point now. Hey,
you guys don't even live in LA, okay? I'm really worried about the Bell Riots.
We've already diverged so much from Star Trek canon that I don't know what. I mean, if you have a clever writer, you could easily make good commentary. But we're gonna see. Like, I don't know what it's going to add. Like, it's going to be so different from what we see now.
So it can be Discovery then.
Pulled out, I think.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying. It's the goal is obviously to get back home, and it doesn't have to necessarily be like in a metropolitan center. I mean, you look at Carbon Creek, which I know that wasn't time travel, but it was Star Trek people in modern times or past times. So that's at its core, that's all it is. So you could have, the crew of the USS Voyager, like, oh, they got back to Earth, but it's 2020. It's like, oh, that, like the whole ship comes back. Yeah. They bank under the Golden Gate Bridge. We're back. Oh, this is not our time. This is going to go on the news. This is bad. This is very, very bad.
Judging by the level of social media, I'm detecting that this is the mid part of the 21st century.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like there's no news broadcast anymore, but we're picking up the local Wi-Fi. I will try to connect and see what's going on.
Password 1.
Yeah. That would actually be a really funny scene if Tuvok or someone's like, due to my research, like 95% of all routers had the passwords as the default passwords. Like, just attempt to scan and connect to one of them.
Captain, I have decoded the password. It is owns games 24.
There's a local network called FBI Surveillance Van. I don't know what that means. All right, Philip, what's the last hurrah? We're wrapping up our really unconnected film saga, but maybe we can have a common thread. Not
sure. And I don't know. I hate to pick a time travel one since we've already picked on that pretty much here, but I'm thinking of sort of unresolved storyline. So this isn't an episode per se, but one that
it's like a wrap up,
and that is the temporal Cold War. So I know it's not a popular storyline in Enterprise, but like, hey, they introduced it, so let's, who's Future Guy? What famous voiceover person is Future Guy?
Oh God.
Doug Jones in a mask.
So that's
no, it's Jeffrey Combs with Doug Jones.
It's Samuel L. Jackson,
Doug
people.
Jones character.
All right, that's who it is.
Hey, we haven't had Sam Jackson in Star Trek.
And
yet.
So, yeah, there you go. I mean, it's already, once you've been in Star Wars, you got to be in Star Trek. It's a new rule.
Yeah, unlike directors,
So, I don't know. I mean, I know we had the whole, Lieutenant Daniels stuff, or Crewman Daniels, stuff, and blah, blah, blah. But kind of wrap everything together, basically make that, and I don't know when you could set it. You could do it during the Lost seasons, between this penultimate episode of season 4 and the finale that shall not be named.
Yeah.
Because
finale.
Because you have 10 years there. So it can be, season 6 or, the mysterious season 8 or whatever, It doesn't have to be during the...
True.
So, yeah, just wrapping that up. Because it could be anything. You could have a solid 22nd century adventure, or you could throw in some temporal Cold War time travel, which doesn't necessarily have to be in future Trek that we know. I mean, it can be, because that would be fun. But it could be whatever you want, because you could go in the past, the future. It's the temporal Cold War. You can do whatever you want. But just wrapping that up and giving those Enterprise characters a little bit room to breathe and shine in spotlight, maybe that we haven't gotten to see. And Travis will actually have scenes of doing stuff.
Yeah, I think time travel is always.
And
good.
it introduces
like said,
the NX-01 refit.
Ooh, okay.
There you go. So you can see more the Enterprise to TOS evolution.
Or you could just be like Discovery and just not care. All right. Any others in your rattling around in that brain of yours, Daniel? Or did you already go with the good stuff?
Oh, man, I knew it. It's the final one. I got one idea. It's crazy.
I'm good, guys. Well, actually, I just thought of this.
Well, no, my last idea was kind of along the lines of Philip, but I didn't have any of the time travel nonsense. I don't want the time travel shenanigans in this one, but I do want a founding of the Federation movie, and this could be the swan song of the Enterprise crew.
Oh,
you could easily
it could be called
craft a story.
No,
very easily.
These are the voyages.
You could very easily craft a story with which that the signing of the charter is the climax, and the Enterprise crew has to do something. They're fundamental. Archer could be George Washington for this if that's where we want to go with it.
Yeah.
But they could be significant players at least, and you could kind of get an on-screen sort of just laid out super easy, like these are the fundamentals of what the Federation is. Of course, you're going to have the Prime
Section
Directive and all
13.
those sorts of things, and I was going to say 31. Yeah, Section 31 would. I wonder if it would rear its head, but it would.
No, it's a scene he's reading through it. Okay, Section 29, Section 30, and so on and so forth. And he puts the
I don't
pad
have
down.
to read this.
Yeah, and people are like, no.
It would be the post-credits stinger, is what it would be.
Oh, wait, hold on. So Samuel L. Jackson shows up. I'm recruiting you for the Section 31 initiative.
He's all looking at his pad. He's like, Section 31. This has potential.
No, so Archer, this is what
And then he opens up the jacket, and you see the
black badge. Yes.
So Archer's sitting in his quarters late at night. He's just reading over the charter, and he's like, "Man,
no, he's not reading over the charter. He's playing with his water polo ball, like staring out the window."
It's after the signing and everything, and he's just going over the documents. He's like, "Man, this is a great charter. I love all 30 sections of this charter." And then
the light turns on. No, he doesn't come in. He's already there. The light turns on in the other room, and he's like, "Well, do we have time for a little rewrite?"
Into Section 31, yeah. But anyways, that's easy enough to make a story out of, and obviously that would be a super significant part of Star Trek history, So that makes sense.
I'm trying to feel like there should be some ending scene where that connects to the TOS, which you already are with the founding of the Federation. I mean, it's too early to lay the keel for the Enterprise or something, but I don't know, something that sort of tips your hand to next.
You mean the next Enterprise? Because we do have an Enterprise.
The ring ship.
Yeah, you could easily
give me the ring ship.
Oh Lord!
You could they could say as an honor the name Enterprise will be retired for 100 years or something like that.
They hang the jersey from the rafters. Is that what it is?
Gosh,
NX-01 Enterprise.
Exactly.
I know they're like, we're retiring the number 1. It's like, well, okay, but I mean, literally every number is after that number. So I
see
don't
the next
see the
Enterprise will
point in
be
retiring
17.
it.
All right, and then the Enterprise after that will be 170. Okay, and then okay.
How did you learn to count, Philip? I'm not following this at all. But yeah, no, it's. I think that would be fun to see. Because again, I mean that's some of the vehicles we took were telling the big movie story we wanted to see in some of these series that we just never got.
Now,
or even the finale we never got.
The only time, one time I tweeted Rick Berman, because I don't think he's on there that often, but he did. It was one of these, hey, ask me stuff, people, I'm here. And I think it's when he just joined Twitter, and I did say, hey, I forget how I phrased the question, but what's the difference between a Star Trek, or how do you determine the difference between a Star Trek TV show or episode and movie? And he tweeted back, the story has to
like a concept.
Yeah, I guess what makes the difference between the story,
concept?
And he said the story has to be more epic, which I think you can argue about some of the Star Trek movies how epic they were, story wise.
Whales. Has to have
like an
whales.
insurrection, which I, do defend at times, but at the basis, it's not a complicated story, so it's not like an epic story. You could make it an episode, which of course is always the complaint. Yeah,
and you have, and it's a better episode than movie.
But but I feel like
Good point.
epic, and I know that's an overused word these days, but a story that is too big for the TV screen.
Right, something that can't be told on a TV budget.
Or in 40 minutes or however long TV is these days. Or 30 minutes if it's a Discovery episode.
I for a moment I did think about the last 10 episodes of DS9, but that's actually better as the last 10 episodes of DS9 than a 2-hour movie, so I pulled that off my list.
It's also so serialized that it would be really difficult to do.
You wouldn't be able to cover everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's 6 seasons of setup for that, so it would also be almost impossible to. You could do it. I'm sure I don't know if there have been any properties that have done that, but it would be damaging, certainly to the bottom line of the movie, because you have a very select few people who actually have watched and kept up with all that sort of stuff. So
I was just going to say, no, if only they did like a TOS movie to show where they actually ended up, because we didn't really get a finale for them. Oh, wait, we kind of got 6 of those, so never mind. Daniel, if someone wanted to talk to you about your Romulan Warbird IMAX experience, where would they find you?
They could find me on Twitter at OneUpDan. That is the number 1, not the word, as in the Warbird is still number 1 in my heart.
Be in my heart. And Phillip, if someone wanted to talk to you about time travel on the silver screen, where would they find you?
They can find me at Twitter on NC Public Servant.
And if someone wanted to talk to me about my third version, Where Watches the Watchers, with tribbles, because that makes everything better.
Nice.
They could find me on Twitter under username Dr. Sci-Fi, DRSCIFI. Now, Phillip, what are we going to be talking about next week?
Again, just like this week, I think it's time we make it a surprise topic.
Well, we do know time is the fire in which we burn, so a movie taught me
Too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Hashtag too soon. All right. I'm Darren
I'm
Moser.
Phillip Gelfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
Stranded here on City Alpha 3.